Well, in Psalm 139, we are reminded that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that we are valued and cherished and loved. Yet sadly, for many women, their value is tied to an unreal and unattainable image. Approximately 8 million North American females have an eating disorder, and 95% of them are between the ages of 12 and 25, something Emily Wierenga knows all too well. Her story is detailed in the book Chasing Silhouettes, as well as in Mom in the Mirror, which she co-authored with Dina Cabrera. Emily, you were younger than 12 when you first realized you had an eating disorder.
Yes, well, I was 9 years old when I started to restrict. That's kind of when the pain, I couldn't keep it down anymore. So I started to react by doing the only thing that I knew how to do, and that is control my eating. It was a reaction to being a pastor's daughter and not feeling like I had a voice in my own family.
So at 9 years old, you were holding so much in. I mean, we look at little 9-year-old little girls and we hope that they have no worries, that they're just thinking school and homework and playing and friends.
Right.
But you had a lot more going on, didn't you?
Yes, and you know, part of it was my personality, just very artistic and sensitive to the pain around me, and frustrated by the double life I saw my parents living with in the church and then at home, and just not being able to express any of it.
And so, like you said, you started restricting your food. And did you start to see results right away in your body? You started to find yourself getting smaller?
Yes, I noticed that suddenly my face was slimmer, I felt tinier, and I thought maybe if I got beautiful enough, my father would pay the attention to me that he paid to all the people that went to his church.
And you're the oldest of 4 children.
I am. So I was also a mother hen kind of with my brother and my sisters, so there's a lot of responsibility there. And it just kind of broke me.
And did your parents see this happening, or were they oblivious to what was going on?
Well, my mother is a nutritionist, and she knew about eating disorders, but they were doing everything by the book. You know, they were following Dr. James Dobson and homeschooling their kids, and we were a pastor's family, so she had just determined her kids wouldn't get an eating disorder because she was doing it all the way she was supposed to.
So what did she do wrong then? What happened? Where did it go off the rails? If she was really trying, what do you think happened?
I hate to blame it on my parents because it's not, it's a combination of genetic and circumstance, but a lot of it stemmed from her childhood. She hadn't been complimented growing up. She had very low self-esteem. My father put ministry before family, which he recognizes now. So there's just, all of these ingredients to the recipe of a perfect storm.
And so I love how candid and real you are in both of these books. But in Mom in the Mirror, Body Image, Beauty, and Life After Pregnancy, which you now have 2 children of your own. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this is what you write. I loved this, Emily, how real you were. You said, eventually, the label on my jeans said size 0, and I knew I'd gotten as little as I could without disappearing altogether. And then I waited to feel good. I waited to feel the way perfection is meant to feel. I waited to feel the love the world told me that skinny would earn. But all I got was admitted into a hospital. What happened?
Yeah, well, when I was 13, I went to live with my grandparents for the summer, and away from, the punishments that my parents had been inflicting on me, trying to keep me eating, away from all of that, I just stopped eating pretty much altogether. And when I came back, I couldn't even barely walk down the street. I couldn't lift a bat to play baseball. I was a walking skeleton. So my father, he was scared, and he admitted me into the general hospital and said I wouldn't come out until I started eating. And that was actually the catalyst to my recovery. On the way to the hospital, I saw this beautiful muscular woman jogging in a park. And I looked at her, and suddenly my eyes were opened, and I realized this was not living. That
real beauty isn't determined by how small you are, but how free you are.
Exactly.
free to express what the God-given purpose in each of us. And so you did turn around, and you've made a beautiful turnaround. And as we said earlier, you now have 2 sons, you're married, and you have 2 little boys. I think we have a picture. Who are we looking at here?
Oh yes, that's Aiden on my shoulders and then Casher in Trent's arms. These are 2 miracles. I was told I probably wouldn't have kids due to the damage I'd done my body, not only due to my anorexia as a young child, but also due to my relapse when I got married. So God has been very gracious.
So this is a battle that is won over and over again.
Well, honestly, the relapse happened because I hadn't dealt with the issues that had caused the anorexia in the first place. I just kind of started eating and, you know, pushed all that stuff away. I wanted to move on. But until you deal with the darkness that has caused all of that pain, you can't shove it away forever.
So what role did God play in dealing with that darkness?
Oh, the Lord has always been very close to me, especially when I realized He had saved me. I was, you know, shaking from hypothermia. The nurses said I should have died at 13, and I realized I had taken my salvation for granted. I had taken God for granted. He was very real, you know. So I started to get to know Him then, but it wasn't until my husband gave me an ultimatum, you know, and said, you need to choose me or food. Because I'm done, because I was starving myself again, that I realized the Lord had put Trenton in my life, you know, as kind of a transfiguration of Jesus in my life to show me the ultimate sacrifice, you know, to show me what love looked like. And so since then I've just been learning who my Abba Father is, and learning who I am as His daughter, you know, how He cherishes me and treasures me, and my longing is for every woman to realize her identity as His daughter.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? To realize who we are in Him and who God longs to be in us if we'll just open and surrender and let Him into those dark places. I love in the book of Isaiah chapter 45 where God says, I will give you treasures in the darkness, riches stored in secret places, but we have to invite Him into our darkness first before we can receive those. Now, I mentioned earlier that part of your helping others is reaching out to women, and you reached out to a very public figure on your blog. Tell me about your open letter to Kate Middleton.
Well, honestly, I heard on Saturday about all the tweets, the public storm that had happened over her postpartum figure. And, you know, I had watched her emerge from that hospital along with the rest of the world, and I was so proud of her for standing so boldly and beautifully, you know, for cherishing her son in front of the public, and to have her, her beautiful postpartum body torn down by the public in such a, you know, ignorant way.
Every woman who's ever had a baby knows that your body stays pretty soft for quite a while, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I want to read just a part of what you wrote to Kate in your open letter. You said, Kate, I wrote Mom in the Mirror, that's your other book, for you. I wrote it for all of us mothers who bear life under the watch of an unforgiving culture, a culture that has lost the scope of an art of beauty, the curve of beauty, the shape of beauty found in the rounded tummy, found in the soft cushion of an arm, found in the maternal hug. We've forgotten the beauty that can be found in a nurturing figure, in a real life person. God just wants us to be real because there is true beauty found there.
Yeah, and I think it is really hard for us as women to remember that when we're faced by all these tabloids and all these expectations. So that's why we have to dive into the Word, dive into Scripture, and find out our true worth, where it is, and just talk to God. Ask Him to show you, ask Him to peel back the blindness, you know, from our eyes, and to help us see ourselves as He sees us.
Emily, thank you for being so honest and open in your books and in your blogging and sharing the lessons you have learned about true inner beauty and how God values each of us. Thank you. You know, an unconditional love, patient acceptance, solid security, no matter where you are in life, eating disorder or not. Could it be that that's what you're looking for? maybe you've almost worn yourself out looking, I want to encourage you to stop. Your very loving, patient God is waiting. Turn to Him. Give control to Him. Invite Jesus into your situation. You know, that's what our prayer lines are for. We would love to pray with you and help you discover what real freedom is like of a life surrendered completely to God. Please give our prayer lines a call.